This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games!
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby! We ain't done yet! We ain't done yet! You like that? You like that? I like that!
How's it going, Ruckus and the Menace sports fam? You're watching another Ruckus and the Menace sports production as we have episode number 102 of
Big
the
102.
Ruckus and the Menace sports podcast. I'm Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus. If I'm not causing a ruckus, then there's something wrong.
And on this episode, we have our starting lineup, which features our transaction log and some teasers for some future plans. Our Eastwood segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly, where it is talking mostly about foosball. You mean football, which according to Bobby Boucher's mama was of the devil.
Mama said, but mama said. You're welcome.
And then we go to the high heat where we have a double dose again. But this time it is more playoffs. We talk about Lord Stanley's Cup. We talk about the Larry O'Brien. And we also have Omaha being mentioned.
In Farmer Fran's words, it would be the coach.
But our color commentary, where we talk more about baseball, and our stud and dud of the week. Ruckus, I think we've got enough information to kind of pack in. So I think we need to get right to it.
All right, sorry. That was my best former friend from Waterboy. Great character in that movie. Anyways, let's go into the starting lineup. Where do we want to start with it first? Do you want me to just go into football?
I think we're just going to start with a little bit of a somber note. I mean, I hate feeling like we have to start on another somber note here. But we unfortunately last week, in the middle of the week no less, had the passing away of the logo, Jerry West. He was a three-time Hall of Famer in Naismith, including just recently getting his Hall of Fame ring for being a contributor. A West Virginia University legend. There actually is a statue of him in front of the Coliseum, which is the basketball floor. I have been to it and I have seen it. And Jerry West has really GM'd a bunch of great programs. I mean, you had the Lakers of the 90s involving Kobe and Shaq. You had the Warriors with Curry and Klay Thompson. So really, Jerry West has done a lot in terms of that. A really good basketball player, and was also the only player to be an NBA Finals MVP from a losing team. If you would come to think of that. Most of the time you would think, an NBA Finals MVP would come from the winner. Jerry West as a Laker kind of defied that, as it was really the most outstanding player of that series, and the Lakers lost that finals. So that was a very, very unique set of circumstances. The blue and gold definitely know that the logo will be missed. I had to bring this in because, yes, it was a notable passing, but it also brings closer to the great state of West V.
Also, it for casual NBA viewers and people that are NBA fans of the NBA universe, Jerry West is a big part of that because of the logo and just his imprint in the league. And if you watch Winning Time with the Los Angeles Lakers and Magic Johnson, they kind of portray him as like one of the like as a legend, but also in a rough part of him in the mockumentary where he's kind of plays like
Yeah.
the jerk guy that's like come on, you're putting magic in or you're taking magic out or this or that,
It's
and he just gets really animated.
Yes, it is a complete mockumentary of what Winning Time is. Winning Time does not describe the true Jerry West in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I believe that the true ways to describe a Jerry West, I really think there needs to be some sort of 30 for 30 done on him as a whole, just simply for what he has brought to the game of basketball, not only as a player, but also as an executive. I
Yep.
think you need to see both sides of who Jerry West is. And also really bring a bit back even to his college days. His son actually even went to WVU as a college basketball player.
I think, like you just said, they need to make a 30 for 30, and that would really tie it home. I don't know if they milk the hype and do it like in the fall, like whenever the next NBA season starts, or if they like milk it even farther than that and do like a December release, like kind of like whenever John Madden passed away, or
Oh yeah,
before John Madden passed.
yeah, I think that any one of those times I think would actually be a very good time for that documentary to come out, because I think a lot of people should know more about the logo and how even the silhouette of Jerry West was even chosen.
Mhm.
That to me I think would be a very interesting education type thing, especially for younger basketball fans who, yeah, if you didn't know who Jerry West was and you were outside the state of West Virginia. But I think West Virginia has had already one representation in a 30 for 30, because that was exactly what the 30 for 30 was representing in Rand University, which I'm sure you would know exactly who that was about.
So you said like RAN?
RAND, Rand University.
Um, can I phone a friend?
It was about a famous West Virginia, like a notable football player
Pat McAfee?
from West Virginia. Nope, not even Pat McAfee.
Um, uh, Adam Vinatieri?
Nope, Vinatieri was actually, even college wise, he went to South Dakota State.
Okay.
It actually is Randy Moss.
I was thinking Randy Moss, but it felt wrong to say. That's why I
Yeah.
was like,
And you would find it very interesting to believe that Randy Moss was high school basketball teammates with White Chocolate.
Mike Miller.
No, that's not Mike Miller. That is former Sacramento Kings and my Memphis Grizzlies and Miami Heat point guard Jason Williams.
Oh.
Like that White Chocolate, the one that could do the elbow pass.
Okay. I thought we were talking Mike Miller because I remember
No,
we had
Mike
a
Miller. Oh, Mike Miller was a shooter. Though Jason Williams could shoot the ball, it was really Jason Williams' ball handling, passing that earned him the nickname.
Because I remember we had a thumbnail with white chocolate or something like that as the
Well, I
title.
remember. Yeah, I remember mentioning something with white chocolate. I think white chocolate was something that was mentioned in an earlier episode. Yes.
And I guess I just tied that to Mike Miller for whatever reason.
When
But
you tied that to. But now the rest of our stories in the transaction log involve football.
are you ready for some football? All right. So,
We're close. We're close.
so to kind of pretty much get this transaction log settled, T. Higgins signs his franchise tender with the Bengals, pretty much meaning he's going to be there for one more year. Who isn't just going to be there for one more year is T. Law.
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence signs a 7-year extension worth $275 million to stay in Duval. And he's also an absolute dog.
I think Trevor Lawrence he's had a couple of really good years, but I think last year was not one of his better years. I think last year might have been a little better for a Travis Etienne.
You know what?
And
I think Trevor Lawrence would also like after football could definitely be like the Keanu Reeves sidekick in Point Break because he looks like a surfer. Um, go ahead.
he basically gives like if Sunshine from Remember the Titans eventually went into the NFL.
Or rode some sick waves, bro. Yeah.
I can't believe you completely missed where I was going with that.
You're welcome. It wouldn't be
Like,
a Ruckus and The Menace sports production without me causing a ruckus.
It was like I can't believe you didn't realize that I was talking about a notable character from probably one of the greatest football movies. In talking
okay.
about Remember the Titans. But
I
as
don't
far as
remember
the
that
T.
movie vividly, but here we are. All right.
I think Sunshine was the quarter. He eventually became the quarterback.
I need to rewatch that movie at some point. But
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah. I think he was the. I think he was a quarterback. Yeah, he was the quarterback.
okay. So next order of business is the Birmingham Stallions are the next dynasty of the XFL USFL merger. Well, that's what it's been called by the ESPN, but we all know ESPN. Anyways, they blank the Brahmas. That is the San Antonio Brahmas in the UFL championship, and I believe it was 25-0. And my God,
it was a drubbing. I watched like a little bit of it. It started out 0-0 for a good while. And then just the big running plays from the Stallions just did that. They've won twice in the USFL and then have just translated that over into being one of the most dominant teams in the UFL in the USFL division. And
yep.
I look forward to the UFL possibly seeing a couple more teams expand in. Maybe bring some of those teams that they left a little bit on the back burner to go right into to maybe have them come in. Or even create new ones. Especially when it comes to the XFL. Because The Rock is known for doing that.
We'll just have to see. Besides that last moment of silence, Chiefs unveil their championship ring design. It looks great. It's got some cool little details to it, like the Tom and Jerry play sequence, or the word Tom and Jerry for the overtime win for the Chiefs.
Oh yeah,
But there is. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Tom and Jerry play is on the like when they open up the ring, because they actually have like the split, like how they split it. They
Yeah,
put the
because they did
Tom and
that last
Jerry
year
thing
too.
in Andy Reid's handwriting. It was Andy
Yep.
Reid's like in the style of Andy Reid's handwriting. Yeah, it just says it's drawn out in Andy Reid's handwriting.
Yeah.
Then you have the little confetti pieces, 17 of them. Then 1 to 4 Lombardi trophies for people who represented the championship years they represented. The issue is on the underside of the ring top, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Then they had the Las Vegas tribute and a whole bunch of other, and the 28 diamonds, symbolic of the defense that held every opponent to under 28 points. So they did a whole and then each player's unique signature is also on the underside of the ring, like the underside of the ring top. But there is one major flaw inside the ring top.
And that major flaw is pretty much that instead of the Dolphins being a 6th seed, they put the Dolphins at a 7th seed, which is kind of convoluted, and there's a lot of picky drama. I say picky drama because it's kind of like a tabloid in a sense, where it's like, oh, this little thing happened, and you should know why because who cares? But also, it's like a oopsie kind of situation. Anyways, Spennis, are we ready to get this show on the road to the next segment?
Yep, it is time for the Eastwood segment and for the tumbleweed to roll as we enter the good, the bad, and the ugly.
You're welcome. Okay, so what is good in sports this week, Spennis?
And we are going to go right into the UFL as well. After getting eliminated by the Birmingham Stallions, Michigan Panthers kicker Jake Bates gets an NFL contract. Sign him up! Because after that great season that he had, he gets a 2-year deal with MCDC and the Detroit Lions to potentially become the kicker.
Sign him up, don't let him go.
What in the world?
It's like a twist on words. It's like, wake me up, but don't let me go. But instead it's sign me up. It's okay.
Wake me up before you go. That's, wow. How in the world do you mess up WHAM?
Well, I wasn't born in that generation, and also I didn't listen to that song religiously or enough.
God!
Get into the next segment already, please.
Only
I'm already
Ruckus
too
would
embarrassed.
figure out some way to completely butcher WHAM.
Let's just let that go.
Now that we've sent ourselves to Wham Holla, the bad in sports this week is that Les Miles is suing LSU over 37 vacated wins and Les Miles' chance at making the College Football Hall of Fame. So here is the what happened was involving this. Last year, LSU vacated the 37 wins from a recruiting violation stemming from impermissible benefits paid to the father of a player. on their team at the time by a former booster of the program. The wins coincided with Vidal Alexander's playing career from 2012 to 2015 under Les Miles, who went 37-14 during that stretch. But the kicker about those 37 wins is that those wins dropped Les Miles' overall record from 145 and 73, which gives him a winning percentage of 665, to 108 and 73, which drops him to a percentage that is just narrowly under the coaching cutoff of 60% in at least 100 games to qualify for the College Football Hall of Fame. So what this does is that this now says that Les Miles cannot be a College Football Hall of Fame coach because he does not meet the cutoff. And this is meeting the cutoff without rounding, and they don't round. You can't round that up, even though it actually does round up. So the Miles' loss said that the bulk of LSU's infractions, including the most serious violations, occurred on the basketball side and not the football side.
Ouch.
So they are trying to... So basically, Les Miles is trying to get his wins back so that he has a shot of making the College Football Hall of Fame. And he is suing the university in order to do it. And now we go to you, Ruckus, for the ugly this week.
Yep, and someone definitely caught the ugly this week. And that is Chiefs defensive tackle Isaiah Buggs. You probably don't know much about him, but you know more about him now in the wrong way. Isaiah Buggs was arrested in late May for animal abuse and neglect for 2 dogs for his first time arrest. This time, he's arrested again, but for a different thing. He's arrested for domestic violence and burglary this time. So, if I'm the Chiefs, which they already have signed a undrafted free agent from Montana that for defensive tackle or defensive end, whatever. But if I'm the Chiefs, why do we keep this guy bugging everybody else? How about he bugs someone else, you know? But anyways, I just thought it was bad because
I just think he was too busy as far as domestic violence and burglary. I think he was just too busy bugging out.
He just needs to get. The Chiefs need to get some raid and just spray him really quick. You know, just take away the bugs. Anyways,
or just get him or get rid of him. Like, get him off the roster.
Get the fly swatter.
I think they've got a dust. Or wait, no, I don't think they kept the Dustbuster.
Nope, he actually went to Nolan's where it's more okay to have Dustbusters around, you know. Just as long as you don't destroy it. Anyways, Spennis, what do you have for the high heat?
Right, our first part of the high heat is talking about postseason hockey and basketball. So here's what we have. In the NHL, we have games 3 and 4 of the Stanley Cup. The Florida Panthers lead the series 2-0 heading into this point of when we last spoke on this episode, on the last episode. So games 3 and 4. Game 3, the Florida Panthers defeat the Edmonton Oilers 4-3, taking a 3-0 series lead, holding off an Edmonton rally late. But then in Game 4, the Panthers were unable to sweep Edmonton as the Oilers blew them out 8-1, avoiding the sweep and sending the series back to Miami. The series will continue in Game 5. That will be tomorrow. That will be at the time of recording tomorrow night, and likely it will be Tuesday night, which will be tonight when you actually listen to this at 8 p.m. on ESPN, on ABC and ESPN Plus. And Ruckus, we are about to have some breaking news regarding the National Basketball Association. And actually, I think we probably have already officially gotten that news.
Yes, sir.
And
Go ahead.
I could not be more excited about this. The Boston Celtics have officially won the NBA championship, defeating the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 in Game 5. Charles Barkley also is retiring from TV at the end of next year, but that's another story for another time.
I'm hungry, Chuck.
But Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown. But for me, the part that this excites me with, and actually ESPN's broadcast was even talking about the small college bring up of it. Joe Mazzulla, the head coach, wins his NBA Finals. An NBA champion head coach now comes from, granted, a New England native, but made his way from the coaching ranks in the great state of West Virginia. As he played basketball at WVU and coached two smaller colleges in Glenville and Fairmont before making the Maine Red Claws as a G League team to make his way up into the NBA ranks. If there's anything talking about Sic Parvis Magna, it's definitely what Mazzulla has done.
Congratulations to the Celtics. I feel like for the most part it was all Celtics when it came to their blend of defense and offense. The Mavericks looked lost for the most part when it came to just their sheer fact of lack of defense, and it showed.
The Celtics also had the best record had also the best record in the NBA. They were the number 1 seed in the East. They have played just completely out of their mind throughout this entire season, and the best trade that they possibly could have made was getting Drew Holiday when they did. But, Ruckus, before we get too far into the high heat, we actually did forget a couple of notable things here in the starting lineup. As some of our future plans for March to Octobers are in progress. We have just had our year 1 ALCSs complete. And we actually will hit the World Series over the next 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks for year 1. And a little bit of a teaser. One of us falls short and has to build more from there. We don't know who, but one of us is going to come up short. And you will find out and see more from this person as the next couple of months go on. Speaking of more things as months go on, there will be a pair of EA Sports College Football series, as I will have a Road to Glory and a Sic Parvis Magna Dynasty series. In talking of greatness of small beginnings, Road to Glory will be released on Wednesdays and Dynasty on Saturdays, and I will be kicking off these series in August. I will be kicking them off in August. Likely going to be probably the 3rd. It'll be either the 3rd or the 10th for Sig Parvis Magna. And Road to Glory will release on the 7th. Road to Glories will be based on the creation. We'll go from the creation through the journey, and the plan will be to complete all 4 years, or at least 3 of them, and try and win a Heisman Trophy. Sig Parvis Magna is going to be a longer standing series, as it will be a journey from smaller college coach, possibly up the ranks into the mid-tier as a coach, and eventually working my way up to becoming a national championship coach. So those are the goals that are set out for those 2 series. However, we will be announcing as well the Madden NFL 25 Super Bowl series, the Super Bowl race series. Not really a race, but the road to the Super Bowl series. I think we're actually going to rename it from the Super Bowl race, just simply because we're just doing them individually, like Path to the Super Bowl. It will hit the YT airwaves, the YouTube airwaves, starting September 5th, the opening day of the NFL regular season. Who will start off that series? Who will each of us have as our teams for the series? We will unveil those details at closer time, because we still have about a couple months out to try and determine some certain plannings. We're kind of debating a couple of things. We have an idea, but we're wanting to kind of solidify our thoughts on each as we go along. You will find out, I'm going to say you will find out one person's team in July, and you will find out the other person's likely at the beginning of August. Madden will release.
Ow.
Oh, you actually think we've got our idea kind of laid out?
For the Super Bowl race?
Yeah, for the road to the Super Bowl.
I think we should keep it as is as the Super Bowl race and just make it season 2. Obviously, we're gonna have different teams, but
Yep.
you'll have to find out what teams we do later in the coming months, because it's too soon now.
Yep. But now we
Alright.
go into the second half of the high heat, and it involves the notable city of Nebraska, Omaha.
Omaha? Hike!
Except the hike, because even though you hear most football players call Omaha, we're actually talking about baseball as the Men's College World Series. The final 8 teams have started playing, and it's featured walk-off finishers early on, a bunch of tight games throughout. Most of the games have been one-runners, really a lot of one-run games early on, but then it's gotten a little more decisive over on the back end. The tournament kicked off on Friday as Tennessee defeated Florida State 12-11, scoring 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th to get the victory. And then North Carolina defeated the University of Virginia 3-2 as Vance Honeycutt hit a game-winning single in the bottom of the 9th. We move to Saturday. Kentucky defeated North Carolina State 5-4 in 10 innings on a walk-off home run by Mitchell Daly. Texas A&M defeated Florida 3-2, holding off a Gators comeback rally attempt in the top of the 7th inning. The first eliminations have occurred over the last couple of days as the Florida State Seminoles eliminated the Virginia Cavaliers 7-3, I should say. And then Tennessee defeated North Carolina 6-1. The Texas A&M Aggies defeated the Kentucky Wildcats 3-1. And then Florida eliminated North Carolina State 5-4, holding the Wolfpack to no runs in the final 4 inning. And we've got ourselves some fun coming up over these next few days as the College World Series continues on. Tennessee had defeated Florida State. And now we get into tomorrow's action. Or at the time of this release, you will have Florida State and North Carolina at 2 p.m. and Kentucky and Florida at 7. These games are win or go home. And then Tennessee will face the winner of 1. And a whole nother game will go on and the tournament continues to unfold up until there are 2 teams remaining. And that portion will start as a best of 3 this coming weekend. So we will find out most likely as we are wrapping up this episode next week as to who will win the national championship and the men's College World Series. And while we stick to the diamond, we now move to our color commentary, as we now will have divisional updates involving the AL and NL East. The teams at the top are the New York Yankees and Philadelphia Phillies. And the bottom feeders are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Florida Marlins. And Ruckus, which do you feel was your biggest surprise?
I think it was the Phillies' success in the beginning of the season compared to last season. And right now, Trey Turner is injured, and he hasn't really played a pivotal role, but he didn't really play a pivotal role at the beginning of the season last season for the Phillies, because the Phillies in general as a whole weren't really performing as well until near the end of the season like they did. But I think their success has been good even without Trey Turner. Nick Castellanos has been good. Kyle Schwarber has done a little bit better. Bryce Harper is balling out. It also just helps that he's healthy because without Harper, you're kind of struggling there on the struggle bus. But yeah, that's my biggest
Hold
surprise,
the
just the Phillies keeping it up.
hold the phone on that, because Trey Turner also just came back earlier today. Trey Turner is now back and healthy off the IL and in the lineup. As Trey Turner did play yesterday, went 2 for 5 with a run scored against the Padres today.
There you go.
So there's that. But my biggest surprise has been that the Red Sox are staying afloat within the confines of potentially the last wild card spot up to this point. They've been pitching well enough to keep themselves in it, even despite having a couple of things, and also great performances and play from Jared Duran. Jared Duran has been another pleasant surprise for the guys in from the dirty water of Boston. The biggest disappointment from the AL and NL East. And for me, I am going to go with the health of the Braves players. Acuna's done with a torn ACL. There were numerous other key injuries on both the rotation and in the position players. So I think that the Braves have not been able to stay healthy. And it's kind of bitten them a little bit. What do you feel was your biggest disappointment here?
I think this revolves the AL East with the Toronto Blue Jays. Their situation is a bit sticky icky as Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette are rumored to being traded, and the Blue Jays are looking to rebuild and sell pieces due to the lack of production from both Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. And they literally also got rid of another piece that was also a former MLB legend that was now
a former second generation player, as they just traded Kevin Biggio to the Dodgers.
Yep, and so it just feels like the Blue Jays are retooling, and it's kind of sad to think about. But anyways,
it's just that the Blue Jays are just not playing. I think the Blue Jays, it's shocking that they are down as low as they are, because I thought they would have played a whole lot better. But if they're going to deal Bo Bichette, Vlad Jr., and have also just gotten rid of Kevin Biggio, I think they should probably try and get a lot for, say, a Bichette or a Vlad.
Yeah.
Seeing if they can get, almost like the mother load. And I'm going to say this. There's a division right now in baseball that, while the Blue Jays may be selling, I think there's a division that we haven't even talked about yet that could be full of buyers at the deadline trying to compete against each other to try and get notable big name players. We haven't even talked about this division yet. But there is very much a possibility that none of these teams in a certain division are tanking enough, and is probably going to be one of the most competitive in baseball. And I'm sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about. But we'll unveil that next week.
Anyways, here are our predictions for MVP. And it's pretty unanimous for the AL East. We both put Aaron Judge from the New York Yankees.
Yeah, he has been on... I am not going to say just a tear this season, but I think he has had probably one of, if not the best, 3-year stretches in terms of a career for Aaron Judge at this point. Like, he has been on a heater since 2022. And Judge is just, he's having his best year, his best stretch of years at the dish. And if you would be blind not to acknowledge that this stretch has been just a heater. But we both came to two different conclusions for the NL East MVP. And we really also went with two different teams. I went with the 20 home run hitter in the NL East in Marcell Ozuna, who with the Braves dealing with as many injuries as they've had, Marcell Ozuna has been the one bright spot hitting the ball for the Atlanta Braves beyond just what an Ozzie Albies or an Austin Riley can do. Ozuna has been hitting the ball on another level currently at this point in the season. And which way are you going, Ruckus?
I am going the rival way, which is the Philadelphia Phillies, with Bryce Harper being the NL MVP, as he has just been on a whole nother level and also just staying healthy, which is a good sign for both his health and also just him producing as a player for the Phillies and in general. Now we'll move to our AL East and NL East Cy Young predictions. I will start with my two predictions, as I believe that Corbin Burns of the Baltimore Orioles will get the AL Cy Young for the AL East. And then Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies will get the NL Cy Young in that part of the division. All right, Spennis, go ahead.
Yep, here is where I am as far as my AL East and NL East Cy Young. My AL East Cy Young goes to Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox have been pitching incredibly well and have had some of their ERAs be down. Houck has kind of led the way. But Pavetta has been good. Cutter Crawford has been good. But Tanner Houck has been the best out of the bunch. And then in the National League, I don't think you could deny, in terms of combination of wins and ERA, if you did not look at the left-handed pitcher in that rotation, in Ranger Suarez for the Phillies, for me to win the NL Cy Young. Suarez had a really great start in April. And he has just kept it up throughout the first half of the season. I anticipate Suarez being an all-star. An all-star, and I think if he keeps this up throughout the entire season, a Cy Young candidate, if not a winner. Because of just the way his not his strikeouts, but his victories and his ERA are helping the Phillies be incredibly successful. And now that we close that out, as far as the color commentary, we can get right into our stud and dud of the week. Ruckus, take it away.
All right, I'll start with my stud of the week, and that is MJ Melendez with the Kansas City Royals as he hits his first ever Grand Slam in the majors against one of the big powerhouses of the MLB, which is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then, as far as my dud goes, Neil Walker, former Pittsburgh Pirate, farts on live broadcast and doesn't speak at the incident on or after the event of the incident, as Pat McAfee reports, and I'll play the audio.
I just got.
Give me a second.
Gains here.
Under 95 miles an hour. We just had 3 strikeouts. And only one hitter, Paul Goldschmidt, lined out at 101 miles an hour.
95 and higher considered hard hits.
And?
Or barreled balls.
And that was the fart. Anyways, now let's go to Spettis.
All right, so my stud this week goes to Snoop Dogg as he threw in a day where he was at a Brewers and Reds game. He threw out the first pitch, but that's not the only way that Snoop Dogg became the stud here. He had the opportunity to join one of the commentary teams up in the press box as a guest commentator. And Snoop doesn't really know much about baseball. But my God, his entertainment value and his charisma in just knowing exactly about it, although he had more bias for the Brewers than the Reds in his approach, it still was gold and had enough humor and laughter to kind of make it more lighthearted than what I even thought was possible for something Snoop Dogg would do. But a special honorable mention. Yesterday was Father's Day. And the Red Sox and Yankees were playing in a series. And on Sunday Night Baseball, Red Sox first baseman Tristan Casas had a very interesting story about a valuable lesson of the responsibility to his team that he learned from his father during Coach Pitch Little League. Had a bad at bat, came into the dugout crying, didn't want to go back out. So his father decides he's going to drag him out onto the field, boot him to his position. And because of that, eventually someone called Child Protective Services and the cops. And his dad ended up being taken out in the cop car and spent the night in jail because of the incident. And Tristan is just looking at this and talking to the commentary team in this interview. And he's like, I'm not kidding. This actually happened. And it was such a story that you could just get invested in. I think that just the story as a whole and Tristan's candidness to be able to be willing to tell that story knowing that was not going to offend anybody, was kind of special. My dud goes to, and this is the dummy of the episode, because usually my duds are normally the dummy. The dummy here is the Milwaukee Brewers for trying to make a pickoff move to try and get Ellie De La Cruz out at second. But the ball nutmegs through Ellie's legs, gets into center field, and De La Cruz is just flooring it, booking it around the base paths, and scores on a play at the plate. So the Brewers were not intending to give up a run, but Ellie says, y'all are trying to get me out. If you miss, I'm just going to make you pay by not only taking one base on the error, but two. And that to me just kind of makes... Actually, I almost think that the Neil Walker thing might be more the dummy of the episode instead of the Brewers. Because he tried to pull a Shaggy and doesn't realize that whoever denied it generally supplied it.
And also, he had a different kind of storm brewing.
Beside the point. Take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace podcast. This has been a Ruckus and The Menace sports production. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
I'm Menace the Menace.
Thank you for listening to our sports podcast, the best sports podcast in the universe. This has been a Ruckus and The Menace sports production, episode 102. Thank you for listening. As always, leave a like and whatnot. We'll see you guys later.
Deuce.